final week of the year, so hopefully everyone enjoyed their Christmas and Hanukkah and shit. No, I'm not saying holidays and being all PC incorrect because you know what? I just don't give a shit. It's fucking Christmas, goddammit. The time of year you get presents, you make Santa Claus the most important imaginary figure other than that other imaginary figure, Jesus and shit. So Merry Christmas, motherfuckers. Well, except for the YouTube auditor, you can go fuck himself. As usual, I got a shitload of questions, and now we're gonna get a shitload of answers. So let's just get right into business. Start with our very first question. The C-Man wants to know, what was your initial reaction to the final Super Smash Bros. Focus Direct? Well, for starters, I didn't watch anything about it because I don't have a Nintendo console. All I know is that Bayonetta was announced after Cloud Strife was announced for the roster. Anytime you're mentioning a Final Fantasy character or game, that's always going to be the showstopper. That's always going to be your drop the mic moment. And if you don't have any other nostalgic property to rival Final Fantasy VII, don't say shit. So naturally, fans were let down by the final announcement. But for me, I don't have the console. I couldn't care less. I'm not being mean, but I just don't play on a Nintendo Wii U. Next question from GamesHaven1. So 2016 in gaming is looking to be a hype year. A lot of games have people pumped and it's looking to be a reboot year versus new games. Do you have some games you want to be rebooted, or is rebooting not what you're looking for? You know, ideally, you always want to have new games and new franchises replace the old ones. Sure, God of War is fantastic. Uncharted will always be one of the greatest franchises ever created. Final Fantasy VII's remake is capturing all the headlines, and Master Chief doesn't ever seem to go away. I mean, essentially, he's Microsoft's version of what Mario is to Nintendo. But in the long run, for games to be successful, you do need new franchises for people to grow up with. Now, I'm not against remakes, but they have to be the right ones. It can't be a game being remade just for the sake of remaking a game. Something like Zelda Ocarina of Time would be a game that deserves a remake. Resident Evil could use a reboot of the franchise, but otherwise, I would rather see new franchises like Guerrilla Games is doing with that. What is that shit? Is it Horizon Zero Dawn, Horizon Dawn Zero, whatever the fuck it is, or Insomniac that most likely do something else with Sunset Overdrive? Those are things you want to see because new franchises breathe life into the consoles, and it gives brand new players who've never played video games before, a chance to grow within their own franchises as opposed to having to play franchises they never started with. But if there was one franchise that I would love to see come back, and personally I would love to be put in charge of, is Resistance. Oh man, Sony, give me the reins to making a Resistance game and I would make it the greatest shit since vagina tightening surgery. I would make that franchise into a cash cow, man. And with ideas on bringing back the series from the dead, explaining all the plot holes, open-ended questions that they missed in the game, and the biggest one, bringing back 8-man co-op. Holy shit, would I have fun making a game like that. I'm telling you right now, Sony, I would make a killing on that franchise. Let me bring it back. Put me in charge. Give me the job. I swear to God, you would have a fantastic moneymaker on your hands if you allowed me to bring that motherfucker back. Next question from Jim Bob Lee. Considering it's the festive season, here's a festive question for you. What are the best gifts you and your partner have received for Christmas and why? You know, as an adult, I'll be honest, the appeal and luster of Christmas has worn off. You know, me personally, I'm very hard to shop for. Almost anyone that has ever needed to try and get me a gift would agree that I'm an extremely difficult motherfucker to shop for. Usually when there's something I need, I get it on my own and I don't wait for someone to gift it to me. If I need a jacket, jeans, boots, or whatever, I just get it. I'm not an overly materialistic person, so people have a hard time getting me something other than maybe like a video game. And even then, they never know what to get me because chances are I already went out and bought the game that I wanted to play on the day it released. So I mainly get gift cards as an adult because the easiest thing is to just give me money and I'll be able to buy what I want. Give me the gift card and I'll be able to get whatever it is I needed at the time. So that's pretty much what people give me now as an adult. But as a kid, I mean, chances are it would have had to have been a bike or something, or I remember getting a bike as a kid, a scooter as a kid, or whatever the hell it is. You know, I had a bunch of gifts and whatnot, but usually the two biggest ones are the bikes that stand out for kids whenever they get those shits on the Christmas cards. But as an adult, gift cards are all I care about. Next question from The Fallen. I've noticed you're not featured in other YouTube channels like Straight Up Knives for top 5 videos or anywhere in the Yoush YouTube community despite them not having much videos uploaded in a while. Have you completely abandoned them of time restraints, or does it no longer appeal to you anymore in being part of these specific channels? You know, the short and sweet answer? I haven't been asked. Although, oddly enough, in coming back to my messages on YouTube, you know, in order to do the question and answer session, I saw that Straight Up Knives actually asked me a few weeks ago, but of course, I don't check this shit, so I completely missed out on that. And of course, I don't have any Twitter, I don't have any social media shit like that, so he missed out on contacting me. But he did want me to do a top 5 video when Black Ops 3 came out. You know, here's the thing. If I'm asked, I would certainly do it. But I guess channels have strayed away from the guest commentaries over the years or whatever the hell it is. You know, a few years ago, these community channels were asking me like every week. I mean, every week there was a different community channel asking me to do a commentary, and for the most part I did, but it seems like YouTube is finally morphing away from that. But look, if Straight Up Nines were to ask me to do something, absolutely I would help out. If another channel were to ask me to do a commentary over some top 5, top 10 videos, certainly, I have no problem doing that because it only takes me a couple of minutes. But essentially, I have to get asked. If I don't get asked, I'm not doing them, and it seems that YouTube has kind of gotten away from that mentality, so that's probably why you haven't seen me on all these other channels. Next question from the Mad Pack X. As you may or may not know, Satoru Iwata passed away earlier this year. Can you tell us how he and his video games impacted your life? And I'll say this directly, he didn't impact my life because many people didn't even know who the hell he was. No, I'm being serious. Just mentioning his name in your question, I'm sure there are a few people wondering who the fuck he was. But if you were to say he's the head of Nintendo, then people would be like, oh, that motherfucker, yeah, that one. Now, indirectly, Nintendo and video games have been a large part of my entertainment in my life. From the original Nintendo all the way up to N64, which was my last Nintendo console, I have fond memories of my games. I played many of those shits as a kid just to keep myself out of trouble. From Tecmo Super Bowl to Mario 3, RBI Baseball, Metroid, Donkey Kong, Zelda. Oh man, I've enjoyed countless hours spent in front of a TV playing video games. And to me, that was great. It shaped my affection for video games to this day, and it's why I still play them. Now, as far as him directly impacting me, no. Obviously, his games indirectly impacted me. It really sucks that he passed away and that Nintendo is really without their leader. The guy who really ushered in all of the Nintendo products over the years that really showed that video gaming was a serious business. Yeah, video games lost a very important person over the past 20 years. But obviously, I haven't had a Nintendo console for almost 20 years now, so the success Nintendo had pretty much paved the way for all the video games and shit that I enjoy today. Although Nintendo's Wii U's in the shitter right now. Oh, motherfucker, man. People still know Nintendo is always going to be known for their video games, and part of that is always going to be counted towards Iwata's legacy. The fact that video games started from such a kid genre to now is pretty much one of the most mainstream forms of entertainment that we see almost 30 years later. Next question from I Am Awesome Guy. Says I really put the pressure on him this one. So, okay, pretend Destiny was never created and Bungie Vision realized it was going to be a disaster before releasing it. What would you be putting your 1,500 hours into? Old games or any other penultimate game to Destiny you had your eye on? I'll be honest, there wouldn't be just one game, it'd probably be just a bunch of different games and whatnot. The main games probably would have been MLB The Show until maybe Metal Gear came along. Probably would have played a little bit more of Little Big Planet or whatever the hell it is. I might have bought a couple of other marginal games just so that they could kill some time and shit like that. But I'll tell you right now, there wouldn't be just one game. There wouldn't be only one game that I would have picked that put 1,500 hours into. I certainly wouldn't have played Call of Duty. Probably wouldn't have played some of the other shittier games that came out. But I would have spread my time out amongst different games, probably even going back playing some old PlayStation 3 games and shit like that. But ultimately, there isn't a game that I would have put 1,500 hours directly into because I didn't see another game on the market that would have been able to give me that kind of entertainment. Next question from Jim O'Carr. Since there won't be another question and answer session for a while, here's my final question. Do you think euthanasia, medically assisted suicide, should be legal and are ethically correct from your point of view? Absolutely. I mean, here's my thing. It should only be legal and available to those who have some form of terminal disease, whether it's cancer, heart disease, you name it. Someone like Robin Williams who's going to lose his mind and probably die within the next 3 years. Something like that. I think it should at least be legally allowed because let's be honest, if someone doesn't want to live the remainder of their life in pain, if they don't want their family members to see themselves in pain, why shouldn't they have the opportunity to say, this is when I want to end my life before it really turns into something horrible? I don't see a reason why the government should put a limit onto when someone wants to end their life if it's going to end terminally and painfully anyway. If somebody has some form of terminal cancer and they don't want to go through that, why should they? Why should the law say, yes, you have to live your life in pain, cost more money, cost your family more money, and there's no way to cure you, and you're going to have to stay alive? Come on, man. This is what led Robin Williams to suicide on his own. He wanted to end his life before his life became too painful and put his family through that, so he ended his life on his own terms. By law, by insurance, he shouldn't have done that. But essentially, if he had the ability to have an assisted suicide, I'm sure he would have taken that option. So for anyone that has terminal cancer, absolutely. Anyone that has a terminal disease, absolutely. They should have the right to determine when they want their lives to end. Next question, and this comes from someone who wants to remain anonymous, so we're just going to show the question. What do you think we should do to combat climate change? Possibly using alternative energy sources such as nuclear energy until we learn how to use fusion reactors like inside of stars. And let's be honest here, solar and wind energy is unreliable because the sun isn't always shining and there isn't always wind. Now, before I even get into the first part of the answer, we got to address the second part. Solar and wind energy aren't only used when the sun's out or on a windy day. What they're doing is they're storing energy for future use as well. So when the sun comes out, there are all those reflection panels that are collecting energy, and as the sun comes down, that's when they really kick in, because the fact is they stored all their energy in power cells, and they're able to power up the homes or power up generators or whatever the case may be after the sun has already gone down. The same with wind turbines. They're collecting wind as they go along, but they're not just burning that energy immediately. It's not like an old steam engine where you need the steam to push the engine and shit like that. No. It has nothing to do with, okay, the sun's out, so now power works, and then once the sun goes down, there's no more power. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with collecting the energy in that way in order to use the energy in the future. Now, as far as climate change, we're fucked. We are absolutely fucked. Now, obviously, the whole thing with climate change and global warming is for the use of fossil fuels. Humans have abused fossil fuels for hundreds and hundreds of years. Something that took a million years to create, millions and millions of years to create, we're burning through at a ridiculous rate, to the point that we're not going to have gasoline, we're not going to have oil, we're not going to have coal to last around forever. There are finite limits as to how much fossil fuel we can use, so we have no choice but to come up with alternative sources of energy. Now, as far as nuclear energy, as far as fusion reactors and all that other shit, again, it's all experimental. It's not complete, it's not reliable. Obviously, nuclear energy is very powerful and shit like that, but realistically, there has to be a number of things done. Not just one thing, but a number of things. First and foremost, and I've said this jokingly in the past, and I'm gonna say it jokingly again, we have too many fucking people on this planet. I'm gonna say that 100 times over. There's just no way this planet can sustain this many billions of people. It's just not gonna happen. By the time we hit 10 billion people, our resources are gonna be so extremely limited that energy is going to be another one of those resources that we're pretty much gonna be running out of. The fact is, the only way to start the climate change protection is gonna start with limiting the human population. As much as people are gonna disagree with me, as much as human rights groups are gonna jump and say, no, that's not what you're supposed to do, shut the fuck up, it's exactly what this planet needs. There's no question about that. Now, after we limit the human population, then we have to get away from fossil fuels. There's just no way around that as well. Now look, I'm not a tree hugger. I'm not one of these that are gonna jump outside and say save the whales, save the environment, save the ozone and all that other shit. I really don't give a fuck about those people. But the reality is, humans live an unsustainable life. We really do. We use too many resources on this planet. We reproduce and multiply faster than pretty much any of the major species on this planet, aside from like bugs and shit like that. And although climate change is a natural process on the planet, we've accelerated that process beyond belief. We've made this planet almost unlivable for certain locations, for certain animals. We've made plenty of species go extinct just in our existence. But the very first step, absolute first step, has to be limiting the human population. There is just no way around that. Next question from Hurley is the man. What do you think will happen first and why? The extinction of humans, or we discover intelligent life forms in a distant galaxy? I'm not saying we visit them, just discover proof that we're not alone in the universe. Now, first of all, let me just say this. If there are any intelligent life forms out there, they'll avoid contact with us to begin with. Now, depending on how we fucking work on this planet, humans are basically a fucking virus, and I've been saying that since the last question and answer session. I just said it in a prior question. We're basically killing this fucking planet. And the more we fuck up this place, the more we accelerate our extinction rate, which is bound to happen sometime in the distant future. However, if I had to pick between the two, I would say we would find intelligent life forms in a distant galaxy first. And the only reason why I say that is because just as fast as we're contributing to our own demise, we're also developing far more advanced technologies to be able to see out into the stars and out into distant galaxies and shit like that. Eventually, we're going to have to come across something in another galaxy that's doing the same exact thing we are, trying to find intelligent life forms in distant galaxies. Whether or not they're more intelligent than we are, more advanced than we are, I don't know. But the fact that we're shining lights millions and millions and millions and trillions and trillions and trillions of light years out into the universe, we're bound to find something. I don't know what it's gonna be. I really hope I'm not around till we find it. I've seen too many Independence Day movies and shit like that. I know what happens when aliens come knocking on our fucking door. But the fact is, I have a feeling we're gonna find intelligent life forms way before we go extinct. Next question from JetJordan99. Hey, Mr. Loco, I was wondering, where's the best place that you've been snowboarding? Hands down, Whistler Blackcomb. And this isn't even a competition. And trust me, I've been all across North America to plenty of places. I've been all throughout Colorado and all the mountains that they have there. Aspen Vale, Telluride, Steamboat. I've been to Lake Tahoe, Heavenly Mammoth. Been all across Vermont, Mount Snow, Stowe, you name it. Been to a couple of Canadian resorts, Lake Louise, Banff. But nothing beats Whistler Blackcomb. I mean, first of all, it has an unfair advantage. It has two amazing mountains right next to one another. Plus, plus a glacier on the side of Blackcomb, I mean, you just cannot beat that. On top of the village that they have, which is really one of the coolest villages that you're going to go to, on top of the drive up there, the Sea to Sky Highway, where all you see is just nature, where you go from the city of Vancouver all the way up through the mountains and you see all that amazing scenery, to the size of the bowls and all things that you could do. You could pretty much go there, stay there for 4 days, and still have plenty to do on the mountains and ride almost all the trails and shit like that. There is no mountain like that. Now, there are 2 mountains that I have not been to in North America that I haven't been able to compare. I don't know if they're better than Whistler Blackcomb, but they're on my bucket list of places that I have to go to, and that's Park City, Utah, and Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Now, I haven't been to South America. I haven't been European skiing, although I would love to go to the Alps one day. Courchevel is also on my bucket list of places to go. But if I had to pick from just my personal mountains and a place that I would recommend to anybody, Whistler Blackcomb would be my choice. Next question from a Dual 620. Is there any chance we could get a console war or PC Master Race rant in the future? Obviously, you said you're going to take a break in January, possibly after you come back. You know, I'll be honest, the whole console war thing, it worked back when the consoles were brand new, but right now, it's pretty much fucking set. I'm not saying PlayStation has won, but just look at the lead they have in sales when it comes to this console generation. PlayStation 4 came out swinging this time around. Sony finally got their shit together. Microsoft fucked up since the beginning. They've done good catching up. We gotta admit that. They've done a lot of things since the release of their console, or since at least the announcement of their console, that have really reversed all their stupid decisions in the past. You know, the backwards compatibility was a good idea, although I said it was a little bit late. But essentially, there really is no more console war at this point. Obviously, a couple years down the road, now it's just buy whatever console you prefer, or buy both of them if you want. Or you can even go with the Wii U. Since nobody bothers with that shit. Now, obviously, when it comes to PC, I told y'all plenty of times, y'all a bunch of hackers. I don't see a rant coming in the future for either one of these because there's just really nothing to rant about at this point. Next question from Disco Good. Really, motherfucker? What the fucking hell, man? His question is, what is your fetish? Now, I don't know what the hell you mean by fetish, if you mean like a sexual fetish or whatever the hell it is, but I don't have any fetishes whatsoever. Next question from Megamaster592. Why do you want to do a rant on League of Legends or Star Citizen? Now, League of Legends, I really don't give a shit. I just want to have footage so I can make fun of the motherfucker. It's not so much the game, it's the morons that play that shit and treat that shit like fucking the next coming of Jesus or whatever the hell it is. So it's not so much a rant, it's that I just want to make fun of this. But Star Citizen, on the other hand, oh, I got some shit to talk about with that one. Someone already asked a question when it came to Star Citizen. I'm holding it off on that until one of the last videos and shit like that. But I will get into my Star Citizen rant once I get to that question. So you will have your question answered, but it's going to be just a little bit later in the question and answer videos. Next question from Sterling Archer. If you were in a zombie apocalypse and you could only have 3 other people with you, being someone you hate, another person someone you love, and the third being someone that could keep the group alive, who would they be? Well, if it was somebody I hate, I'd keep a Kardashian and feed them to the zombies so that I could survive. That's what I do. I'd chop up their body parts and just hold on to that shit. And then when zombies get close, here, eat that shit. Fuck that shit, man. As far as who I would love, obviously it would be my better half. And the person who would keep me alive, Bear Grylls. That motherfucker, although his TV show is bullshit, you know, he doesn't really survive out in the wild and whatnot. But the motherfucker knows enough to get a TV show to show that he can survive out in the wild eating bugs and raccoon shit or whatever the fuck it is that he does out there. I don't know how to survive. Listen, man, I'm a city slicker. I don't know shit about the wild. So if I gotta go survive in this zombie apocalypse or whatever, live out in the fucking mountains, live out in goddamn Antarctica, I don't know the fuck to survive. So I'll take Bear Grylls with me. He seems like he knows what he's doing. Let's have a whole bunch of shotguns, whole bunch of machine guns, and fuck it, we'll be able to survive using that motherfucker. Next question for Cheyenne Gonzi. Have you seen Star Wars The Force Awakens yet? If so, what do you think of it? As of the time that I'm answering this video, no, I haven't seen it. But as of the time I'll probably post this video, I probably would have saw it, because the week that I'm posting up this video for the question and answer session is the week that I plan on going to see the Star Wars movie. So I don't know if I've seen it already as of when I'm posting this video, but as of right now, answering the video, I haven't seen it yet. Next question from Live and Let Die. If Skyrim didn't have the programming problems, the glitches, and the DLC issues, would you have gotten into the game? Do you like the gameplay, the graphics, lore, and the aspect of open world RPGs? Let's just say it right now. Anything Bethesda does, doesn't matter how good or how bad it is, I want nothing to do with it. It has nothing to do with Skyrim or Fallout. It has to do with the cunts that are making the fucking game to begin with. The lying sons of bitches, the greedy bullshit scam artists that they have running that fucking company. There is no way in hell I would give Bethesda a dime. Now granted, Skyrim does have a lot of things that I probably would like when it comes to an RPG game, but for that, I might as well play The Witcher, I might as well play Mass Effect, I might as well play Final Fantasy. There are plenty other RPG games out there that'll fulfill that need to play an RPG, but I will not give a single penny to Bethesda ever again. Next question from MI2 Lethal. If you could start your life all over again, would you do it? Well, the fact is, I still have like 30 or 40 more years left in my life. I'm like barely halfway through my life. So as far as right now, no, I'm not gonna start it over again. I still have plenty more good years left to go. I'm not gonna say, you know what, fuck it, let's just get a reset and do this shit over again. Now, come and talk to me 40, 50 years down the road about this question, and yeah, I might say, yes, I would like to start it all over again, but as of right now, hell no, man. I got my life all together at this point. I wanna see where this shit goes. I don't wanna go backwards. Alright, we're gonna stop here for video number 1 this week since we're already pushing 20 minutes on this video. So, if you haven't seen your question yet, there's still a couple videos coming this week, so I just probably haven't gotten to it yet, and chances are I'm going to be answering it over the next few days. Tomorrow, we're going to be starting off the question and answer session with the few questions I got over from Prestige Gamers, and then we're going to continue with the remaining questions that I got from the YouTube private messages and shit like that, so that'll give you an idea of the schedule ahead. And as always, rate, comment, subscribe, and all that good shit, and I'll see you guys in the next video for question and answers.